What's the difference between a well-dressed man on a bicycle and a poorly dressed man on a tricycle?
Oh, I know the punchline to that one now.
You already know the answer to this one. Of course, it's their attire. And welcome to Small Business Celebration. We are continuing our series on spring from COVID. And our guest this week, well, she is helping business owners just like you put a smile on their business. This is Small Business Celebration. Join us as we learn from successful business owners and successful business leaders about who they are, from where their business has grown, what they have learned, and where their successful business is going. I am your host, Michael I. Roberts, and we're going to learn something that you can use today to grow a strong and profitable business. Welcome to Small Business Celebration, and our guest today is Shauna Crane, the owner of Red Crane Portraits. Welcome to Small Business Celebration.
Thanks for having me, Michael.
And for visionaries who don't know who are you, and what is it that you do?
I'm Shauna Crane. I'm the owner of Red Crane Portraits, and I photograph people.
Now, the reason we're here talking with Shauna today is because a picture is of 1,000 words, as it were, and the image of you and your business is very, very important. But more importantly, it's how Shauna has done this with her business. And in fact, it's worked so well, we are here in her new studio.
Yep.
And so you hear lots of bounce and lots of weird stuff on the sound if you're listening to this on the podcast.
It's very echoey.
It's very echoey, exactly. But that is a tantamount to how well you've grown your business, because it started off in a garage.
I started off in my home in an office in a spare room downstairs.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a tiny 11 by 11 room, and I had one giant window. It was a sliding glass door, and that was my only source of light.
So it truly was one-directional lighting.
It was, yeah.
Photography joke for those of us in the film and television business.
Yeah.
You've grown since then. You've grown your business, and you've photographed a lot of really fairly well-known people here in the community. And that is, as she pats herself on the back, of course, but that's one of the things that's brilliant about what you have done, especially on your website. If you haven't gone to Shauna's website, and the website is?
It's redcraneportraits.com.
Because when you go and you see what she has done, it's marketing brilliance. First of all, for the visionaries who think that what you do is you do standard family portraits, we go over into Hart Park and we take the lovely pictures in the background. That's not what you do.
No, I love those pictures. They're very brilliantly done. The background is amazing. That's the thing, you really just see the background. It's my opinion. I know a lot of people aren't going to share this. They really love those outdoor pictures.
Right.
But for me, a portrait is more intimate. Like, I like seeing the picture of the person, their personality coming through it, and that being the focus of it. I have portraits of my family going back to 100 years, 150 years. And they're all done in a studio. That was traditionally the way it was done.
Right.
And their pictures, some of them, most of them aren't smiling because the camera was open for a good amount of time. They had to sit nice and still. But I love looking at those pictures because I can see my children in them. I can see me in them. I can see all my family members, like who looks like who. And I just love that being the focus of it.
Right.
But I want to make a treasure. So a legacy, a lasting legacy that you can pass on to your family, because someday I'm not going to be here anymore.
Right.
And this is where I'm probably going to start crying, because I just feel so passionate about this, is that someday my grandchildren are going to look at pictures of me of me with their parents, my children now, and say, oh my God, look how beautiful grandma is, or look how young mom is, or dad. And I want them to enjoy that and see that and pass it along and just be this record of our family.
Like you said, the ability to see yourself and your children in the faces of your great-grandparents.
Yeah.
How did you get involved with this?
I've actually loved photography since I was a little kid. My dad was a hobbyist photographer. So when he was in Vietnam, he had a camera and he has tons of pictures, slides that I inherited from him when he passed away. And that's how I learned about this history that he had with his camera, and this picture of him, these self-portraits that he did dressed like a 60s beatnik. And he's wearing this like white turtleneck, and you could see that he's got the little, the shutter clicker thing. It was like a little tube that was connected to his camera on a film camera, no less. And he was taking some images of himself. And growing up, my dad followed us with the camera. He was always taking pictures, but he would turn the camera on himself and be involved in those pictures too. Something that I didn't do with my kids growing up. But when he passed away when I was 16, my mom gave me a box of all his camera equipment, and in that was another box of all these slides. And I discovered this whole other person that I didn't know about my father. Oh my God, I'm gonna cry again. And I wanted to feel closer to him. And I was grieving so much. Losing him was so hard. And I wanted to just feel like he was there with me, so I picked up his camera, and I was still living in San Diego at the time, and I started going down to Old Town and just taking pictures of just like little vignettes of the setups, not the people, but like mostly still life and architecture and just the crumbling architecture. And I guess it was a reflection of how I was feeling inside, and I was photographing that. And oh my God, sorry. And it just kind of evolved.
How did you take this passion and turn it into a business?
I have to thank my mentor for that.
Okay.
She is the one that actually gave me a focus and a purpose.
And who's your mentor?
Sue Bryce.
Sue Bryce.
Yeah. She's a world-renowned photographer and educator. She's been doing this for over 27 years. She started doing glamour photography back in the early 90s. And over that time, she created this amazing business model that she teaches other photographers around the world. I was like, this is it. This is like, it's like a light went off. And I was like, oh my God, this is everything I love about the bride and taking pictures of her, but taking it into a more intimate setting and concentrating on how beautiful she is on the inside and out. And I haven't looked back since.
I alluded earlier about your website. And this is something that I think a lot of business owners can learn from you. First of all, describe for those listening to this program, what does your homepage of your website look like?
Well, you go to my homepage and it's just my portfolio. It's just her portfolio. The first thing you see is my portfolio, my logo, and the navigation. But one of the main things that my mentors taught me was to show what you sell.
Show what you sell.
Yeah, so I'm a portrait photographer. My loss leader is basically headshots. That's how I get people in the door.
Right.
And if you Google headshots in Bakersfield, I pop up at #1.
Hey, that's not planned.
No, on purpose. And that's where a lot of my the phone calls that come in are for headshots. And then, once I get them in the door, I try to, get them to really feel comfortable. And then I tell them, oh, I can photograph your family. I get into talking about them or talking to them about their life and what they do. And they realize that they need something beyond headshots sometimes. And so I get to come back, they get to come back and I get to photograph them again with their families.
Now, I have to ask, because one of the things that's also remarkable about this collage of portraits is who the portraits are of. Was this intentional?
Not at first. I photographed a lot of people, and I just love, like, some of the pictures are just so, they speak so much about what I do. And I love the expression or the person in it. And I really wanted to show diversity. And I love photographing like women over 40. So I put that in there.
Sure.
And it's, you know, it happened to work.
When you take a look at her homepage, if you're familiar with the business community of Kern County, and more specifically the greater Bakersfield area, there's a lot of well-known people on that page. And so this is what I wanted to focus on with this, is that you are showing what you do. But you're also getting automatic recommendations and referrals by the people you're showing.
Yeah, I am.
And I think that is something that every business owner should pay attention and integrate into what they're doing for their business. And what can you do for business owners and their businesses?
Well, if your clients are anything like mine, who are your biggest advocates and your biggest advertisers, you also need to appreciate them and show appreciation for them. And so what I do is I give gift vouchers or gift cards to people that I photograph, so they can, if they would come back with me and I photograph something else, they get a great discount on the photographs that I take of them.
If Visionaries want to find out more about you, how do they do that?
I'm on, like, my website is, like I said, is redcraneportraits.com. You can call me at 661-243-0931.
What was that number again?
661-243-0931.
Are you on social media?
I am. It's Red Crane Portraits on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn.
And if you enjoy Small Business Celebration, go ahead and like, subscribe, and notify, and leave a comment. We love the comments. In fact, one of the reasons we're here is because of a comment from Debbie Bagley, who is a former guest on this show. And when we come back, we are going to go and talk about taking your business to the next level by using YouTube. Imagine that. I will be right back.
Hi, I'm John Busby with Team Busby, and over the years, many people have asked me, what price ranges do you sell? As you can see at Team Busby, we sell all price ranges, $80,000 to $2 million. It's a seller's market. If you're thinking remotely of selling your home, now's the time to sell it. There's buyers that are on the fence, some of them not even thinking about selling. When I show them the values of today's market, they say, oh my gosh, I should put on the market now. When you call my team, Team Busby, you get a voice, not a voicemail. 410-SELL, 410-7355.
We're here with Shauna Crane, the owner of Red Crane Portraits. And our visionary question comes from Kathy, who asks, I've been told that making how-to videos are a good way to promote your business, but do they work? And if so, what shouldn't I do when I do them?
Well, I think first of all, you need to assess your business and, you know, what you're selling, product or service, and you need to feature that. As a photographer, I feature what I photograph, the end product, and I try to show some behind the scenes, and I'm working on that. That's going to be the next level, doing more of that, because that, if you're making something or doing something that the process is fascinating, show that.
Okay.
I think it's really fun. I love seeing how things are made. I watch those that how it's made thing on.
Oh, it's a great show. I
love that show. It's really cool. Like, people like to know what goes into what you do. There's a lot of hard work into it, but you need to make it fun. I mean, clip it so that it's fun. Like, one thing that my mentor was teaching us on how to make videos was, you start with the end product. You know, you show a little bit of that, you photographing somebody, and then clip to how it got to there. So, you know, showing them in the hair and makeup and getting ready and having fun, getting dressed up and all that stuff. And then the different backgrounds of the different setups you're doing, and how you photographing them and their reaction to you photographing them. And then you clip a great, like, 30-second video to put on social media. If it's something a little more informative, it's like commercials on TV. They have 30-second spots, they have 60-second spots.
Right.
But people on Instagram, it's like they're moving on to the next thing, so you got to keep it short. So 15 seconds, 30 seconds.
Right.
Works the best.
What is your YouTube channel?
It's actually ShaunaCrane.com. Or sorry, no, YouTube.com/Shauna Crane.
Okay.
It's not really related to my photography business per se. What happened, what sprang from this and working with my mentor was that one of my superpowers is the fact that I can do graphic design. I was trained in this. I went to school for it. So I do all of my own marketing and do my own design. And it saved me a lot of money because I don't have to hire somebody to do that for me. I can do it for myself. So a lot of startup businesses, they need help with that. They want to look professional right away and they don't know how to do it or can't afford to do it. So I created templates to help specifically photographers and studio photographers to, they buy my templates and I show in my videos on YouTube how they can take my template that's complete and add in their marketing, their images, their logo, their branding, and then customize it to fit them. And so it's just really me on, doing a screen grab or screen capture and showing step by step how to edit templates in InDesign and Photoshop.
How have you taken these how-to videos on YouTube and translate them to people coming in through the door of your studio?
That one's more of a connection to getting people to go to my website for my templates. But I also have photographers who I meet at these different workshops who I've become friends with, who I've taught indirectly through my YouTube channel, and some of them asked me to photograph them too. And it's just kind of this great little community of people helping each other.
You mentioned one of your superpowers was you're able to use Photoshop, you're able to do your own graphic design. But one of your other superpowers that I've heard from an anonymous source, Debbie Bagley, is your ability to bring out confidence in people when you photograph them.
Yeah, it's something that's really weird. It's kind of helped me with my own confidence and my self-value and self-worth. After my senior picture, I didn't get in front of the camera again because I had kids and I gained weight and I wasn't the size 4 anymore and 18 years old, and I didn't feel very confident in myself and my body. And so when, being a photographer, I followed my family around, my kids around, and took pictures of them, and sometimes the camera got turned on me, much to my chagrin, mostly horror.
Right, sure.
Because, it's great getting a snapshot of yourself, but women were so critical of ourselves and how we look and how we're so, it's so ingrained in us to really focus on that. And so I don't really like, a lot of the pictures that have been taken of me at the time, but now I appreciate them. I'm glad that, sometimes my ex-husband turned the camera on me and took pictures of me with the kids, because otherwise we look through the family album and I'm not there, I'm not present.
Right.
And so at least there's a few handful of ones where I didn't stick my hand in front of it or stop him from doing it. And God love him. I mean, thank you to my ex-husband for taking those pictures. I appreciate them.
Is that why you also emphasize portraits of women over 40?
Yeah, being a woman over 40 myself, I'm 46 now. I didn't get photographed again professionally until I was 40 years old. And my mentor photographed me, and she took me behind the scenes and gave me that experience so that I can understand what my clients are going through. I went through all those emotions that I see my clients do, where they're like, I just don't feel pretty, I just don't feel confident. Or no, they'll call me and say, I'm gonna schedule a photo session with you after I've lost 20 pounds. And I'm like, girl, I can take 20 pounds off you in the camera with posing. Because this is what she taught me to do.
Right.
And so now when people do take pictures of me, or, I'm on video right now, I try to pose myself in a way that I would pose my clients in so they feel the most confident. So when they're seeing themselves, they're like, oh my God, you did it. I do look thinner. How did you do that? You know, it comes down to styling, wearing the right clothes.
Right.
And then I have a makeup artist who does hair and makeup, so you can look, you know, the most confident and beautiful version of yourself. What you see when you look in the mirror, I want you to see that in your pictures. Like, you know, sometimes I get, you know, I put my makeup on, I do my hair, I get a nice outfit on, I look in the mirror, I'm like, God, I love the way I look right now. Why, you know what? I wish I could take a picture of that. This is what we're doing. This is what I'm doing, and taking these moments and appreciating who you are right now. You know, because you're not going to be 40 again. You're not going to be 45 again. You're not going to be 50 again. It's only going to get higher from there.
Right.
So take a moment and just say, I love the way I look right now. I love who I am right now. I don't care that I'm overweight. You know, there's reasons why. I have two beautiful children for this. You know, you gotta, here come the waterworks again. I just want women to not feel so afraid to be taken a picture of. I want them to be able to look back and say, oh my God, I'm so glad I did this when I did, because now I'm older and I'm never gonna look like that again. I'm never gonna be this version of myself again. And I wanna capture that. I want them to appreciate themselves. I want them to celebrate themselves.
How has owning Red Crane Portraits changed you?
Well, it's giving me confidence. You know,
How so?
When I started this, I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Okay.
I mean, I learned, you know, there's so much you can learn, but then you have to put it into practice. Mm-hmm. And then you have to keep practicing and getting better and getting, you know, feeling more confident in what you do and not feel so critical about it. I'm gonna make mistakes. I still do. I'm not perfect. I don't ever want to be perfect. I just want to be as good as I can be right now and keep learning. And I've gone so far from where I started. Like the first time I went to a networking event, it took me 10 minutes to build up the confidence just to put my business card on the tables in front of these women who were there. And now I can go into a room, I mean, still feel the butterflies in my stomach, and I feel like a fool, and I feel like I'm gonna say the wrong thing, but I have to get past that, because if I don't, I'm never gonna grow my business. I'm never gonna meet people. They're never gonna know who I am if I don't introduce myself. So sometimes I take a little liquid courage if it's an evening event.
Sure.
And I go out there and I'll see somebody I know, and I'll go up and talk to them, and I just kind of get comfortable with being around people. I am so shy. It is so hard to go to a stranger and say, hi, I'm Shauna Crane. I'm a portrait photographer. When was the last time you were photographed? You know, and come up with that little, what they call the elevator pitch. And you have to keep doing it and practicing it as many times as you can. And it's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to feel like you didn't do it right. Learn from that and do it again the next time. And just keep doing it. Don't give up. Because if you want to have a successful business, this is what it's going to take. You have to get up in the morning, you have to put on your clothes, your whatever it is that you wear to go to work, and do your work. And do it with gusto and with passion and confidence, even if you don't feel confident that day. You know, look back at the work that you love and the things that you've done and go, oh my God, I can't believe I made this, I did this. Take a look around and appreciate where you are and where you came from. And then once you get to your goal, set new ones, set bigger ones. How big do you want to be? How much do you want to grow? And keep growing that list.
And we'll be right back. The reason we're here with Shauna Crane, the owner of Red Crane Portraits, is because of a visionary question that came from a visionary just like you. They wanted to find out more about how do I do headshots, how do I go ahead and do infographics, how do I do stuff on YouTube that will help grow my business and move it forward. And that's why we're here. So if you've got a question, go ahead and reach out to us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, and let us know what you want to learn, who you want to learn from. If there's some kind of ethereal message you want to learn more details about, we are the place for you. Also, if you like any of our posts on social media, go ahead and like our post, go ahead and comment our post, but especially on Instagram, make sure you save our posts. Give us the digital currency we need to help grow Small Business Celebration, grow its following, so we can help you grow a strong and profitable business. So reach out to us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook today. We're here with Shauna Crane, the owner of Red Crane Portraits, and our visionary question comes from Joel, who asks, our business has grown to the point we need to move out of our home office and into a larger space. What should I watch out for when looking for a new space to lease? And this is apropos because you are in a new place.
I am for I think the third time.
Third time,
no,
exactly.
Fourth time.
So what are some of the things people should look for if they're looking for a place to lease?
Cost.
Okay.
Overhead, that is the biggest thing.
How so?
You don't want to go too big before you know you're sustainable. When I was in my home studio, I did that for like 5 years, and then I felt, okay, I'm ready. I need to grow. I need to be in a bigger space. And I found something here at the Haberfield building, and it was $500 a month, and it was bigger than what I was in. I mean, it was like 3 times bigger. And so that, and I did the calculations, like, can I afford this every month, even on, like, you know, it's like you're a feast or famine sometimes.
Right.
And so in the famine, can I afford this $500 a month? And by my calculations, yes, I could.
And you're laughing, so yeah. I'm guessing you could.
I did. I did for a long time. And then I got to the point where maybe I should grow again. And so I looked at the space downstairs, and the gallery opened, and it was enormous, and it has this big window in the front. And I'm like, oh, people can see what I'm doing, and maybe it'll attract more clients. And it did, but then, you know, personal things happened.
Sure.
I was going through a really bad divorce, and I got really sick, physically ill, and I had to shut down. And it was disappointing, but I knew that I would be back. I just brought it back home. I just took it all down and just went back down to bare bones like I was in the beginning, and I just wrote it out, and then all of a sudden the pandemic happened.
Oops.
Yeah. I mean, it was good cover for me while I recovered, and I built back slowly, and I got better. And I was still, during COVID, with all the restrictions and wearing masks and distancing, you could still take pictures of people being social distanced. I found out I just had to use a big, a
telephoto lens.
No, I used my 85, which is practically telephoto, because I would be like where my backdrop is. I could be all the way on the other side of the wall and still get a great, close-up portrait of somebody. So, the 6 feet, I took it even further. I went 12 feet, sometimes 15 feet. I was paranoid.
Sure.
I had no idea how long we were going to be in this. And I'm like, okay, well, now that I figured out, I guess I can be sustainable working out of my garage. But then, the Bakersfield summer came, and I'm like, okay, well, I can't do this for a few months because it's too damn hot. Sorry, I can't cuss. It's too hot outside to do this, and I didn't want to bring people in because they said, you can't bring people indoors. You have no idea if they're, contagious or anything. So I shut down for a few months there, and I just went back to doing graphic design. So it's great that I had 2 different things. Not everybody does.
Right.
But I was able to sustain myself during the pandemic by doing, graphic design still.
Doing portraits is a passion for you.
Yes, it is. I would say so.
But at some point, you have to get out of the studio. At some point, you have to put the QuickBooks down.
Don't really pay much attention to
At some point, you have to step away from the computer and the graphic design. What do you do to unwind?
Well, I found gardening.
Gardening?
Gardening has become my new passion. I love it.
Okay.
I wanted to start growing my own food, especially during the pandemic, as I really got into it.
Sure.
And I found it to be like my release. It's, even though I'm working really hard and I'm sweating and I'm getting really dirty, and I love getting my hands in the dirt. I do wear my garden gloves, and sometimes I'll put my feet in the mud because it just feels fun. And my boyfriend will come out and he'll see me. He just calls me like this little farmer, and he's like, "Oh, you're playing in the dirt again." I'm like, yeah, I love it. I find it so fascinating to take something from a seed, something so tiny. You have no idea, and it grows into this gigantic plant.
Sure.
And that you nurtured it from something so tiny and vulnerable into this beautiful vegetable that nourishes you.
Right.
So it didn't just nourish my soul, it nourished my body.
What is the most worthwhile investment you've ever made into your business?
It was myself.
Okay, how so?
I had to let go of toxic people, toxic situations, focus on my aspirations and my dreams and my goals, because I was so focused on this other person's or other people's. I love helping people. It's probably my downfall sometimes because I will focus too much on them and forget that, hey, you know, sometimes you have to say no to say yes to you. Listening to other people who think they know better what I'm capable of, instead of going with my gut and saying, I have to learn to say this more often. I appreciate your input and I'll take it into consideration, but I got to do what's right for me. You know, people will, you know, especially family, your parents, siblings, they know a different version of you than you give out to the world. You know, they grew up with you. They know your faults and your failings. They know when you stumbled and fall, but they don't know what you did to bring yourself back up again. And I've had to do that a lot, too many times than I care to count. And most recently, going through a really bad divorce. And I don't like talking about it because it's very, very personal and it's very, very hard. And I'm, you know, going through therapy and I'm doing the work to get better and focus on myself again and get happy again. And this is the result of that, is that I finally got through that fog and I stopped listening to the naysayers and the people who thought they knew better than me what I was capable of. And it feels so good to be here again, to bring my dream back to life. And it's even better now than it was before. Because I had to take some time off, and I did that, you know, all the different things to rebuild my confidence and find myself again, and remember Shauna Crane, who wanted to be this photographer and have a beautiful loft. I mean, it was in San Diego, my dream back then. But I have it. When I walked into this space, I was like, oh my God, this is what I had in my head when I was a kid. And it's here now. I apologize for the crying again. I get so emotional when a dream is fulfilled. And I'm so happy now. I'm finally where I wanted to be for the last 2 years, even before that. And it's only gonna get better from here. You know, life gets better. You go through your trials and your tribulations, but if you want to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I've had to do that so many times, so many moments in my life where I felt like it was falling apart and I've had to pick myself back up again, and you're basically rebranding yourself. And I did. I rebranded my business. I wasn't always called Red Crane Portraits. It was my former married name. And I was worried at first that people weren't going to remember who I was. But I was just like, so what? I did this before, I can do it again. You know, and I did. I'm doing it. It's been 3 years now that I've been under this new name, and it's like I didn't skip a beat. It was like it was just natural, and it came naturally to me. I feel more authentic now than I ever did before. And it feels so amazing to finally live in your dream and then create new ones. And that's what I'm doing now.
How can Visionaries get in touch with you?
They can call me by phone, I pick it up as if I'm not busy doing a photo shoot.
Right.
If not, it'll go to voicemail, but my phone number is 661-243-0931.
What was that again?
661-243-0931. Or you can find me on my website at redcraneportraits.com. And on there is a link to my Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and my YouTube channel.
Shawna, thank you very much for joining us here on Small Business Celebration.
Thank you, Michael, for having me. I really had a lot of fun with this.
Even if you're not used to being in front of the camera.
No. But this is great because now I can take this experience and learn a different skill and bring that to my business and bring it forward and take it to the next level.
And we'll be right back with my final thoughts.
Hi, I'm John Busby with Team Busby, and over the years, many people have asked me, what price ranges do you sell? As you can see at Team Busby, we sell all price ranges, $80,000 to $2 million. It's a seller's market. If you're thinking remotely of selling your home, now's the time to sell it. There's buyers that are on the fence, some of them not even thinking about selling. When I show them the values of today's market, they say, oh my gosh, I should put on the market now. When you call my team, Team Busby, you get a voice, not a voicemail. 410-SELL, 410-7355.
A few weeks ago, I was having lunch with a former guest of Small Business Celebration, and there was this fruit bowl sitting on the table, and we were talking about business and life and philosophy and the like. And she asked me, Michael, what do you see in the fruit bowl? And I said, well, I see avocados, and I see peaches, I see nectarines. And she smiled, and she said, well, I see avocados and peaches and nectarines and tomatoes and grapes and bananas. And she paused because I had a very confused look on my face. And that's when she smiled. She said, I see what is yet to come in the fruit bowl. I hope you enjoyed our conversation this week with Shauna Crane of Red Crane Photography, and I hope you learned as much as I did from Shauna in this conversation we had that you can use to grow a strong and profitable business, and we'll see you again next week.
See,
You're good.
it's payback.
Fire away anytime you're ready.
Okay, I'm here with Michael Roberts with Small Business Celebration because of my friend Debbie Bagley. She was one of my first clients in my first 6 months of business, and she was my biggest for sale. And I want to thank Debbie with Bakersfield Locksmith for this amazing experience. And Debbie, because of this, I am giving you a complimentary free photo shoot in my new studio. So anytime you're ready, come in here. I'm going to photograph you again.